Hello again. This is the Bioelectricity course, Week 2, Segment 12. I'm Roger Kochbar, the instructor, and in this lecture, it's a summary of what's been discussed in the earlier lectures this week. We began by observing that a membrane patch is small, but not infinitesimal. It's large enough to include the pumps and channels of the membrane in proportion to their presence in the whole membrane. In a circular patch, it might be 25 to 50 microns in radius. If you compare that, for point of reference, to the size of a human hair, pull a hair out of your head and look at it in cross-section. No, not really, I don't mean that. But if you were to do that, you'd say for a hair, so the radius here there, that might be 25 microns. So when we talk about a patch, we're talking about something that is about the size of the cross-section of a human hair, or maybe 4 times that much or 10 times that much, but still quite small. Within this patch are amazing pumps. And the pumps are pumping and pumping and pumping and pumping. And all that time they're moving sodium ions from the inside to the outside. And concurrently they're moving potassium ions from the outside to the inside. The result of this is to establish a huge concentration difference of potassium, way more inside than outside, and sodium way more outside than inside. This is an incredible process that goes on and on and on and on, every day, every night, throughout one's entire lifetime. The concentration differences result in electric fields across the membrane, and the equilibrium voltages for potassium and for sodium are not anywhere near zero. They're about 1/10 of a volt, not quite that much, but about 1/10 of a volt, but one negative and the other one positive. If the membrane wants to have a negative voltage, I say wants to there to make it humanoid, but for the membrane to have a negative transmembrane voltage, it has to become selectively permeable to potassium. On the other hand, when the membrane is selectively permeable to sodium, it has a positive transmembrane voltage. So the transmembrane voltage is not a constant. It can be negative, it can be positive, and it can be in between, depending on whether the membrane is permeable to potassium or permeable to sodium. That doesn't occur randomly. It occurs in a very controlled fashion, as we discuss in subsequent weeks. The transmembrane voltages that are created in this way, this is the electrical energy that is used in the bioelectric system taken as a whole to drive currents across the membrane in its various phases, as well as to drive currents through and around the interior of the cells, the exterior of the cells, passing through a membrane. There's a whole spatial distribution of these currents. These are the currents that we observe when we do clinical tests, and all of them come from the transmembrane voltages arising in this process. And finally, this mechanism is distributed and reliable and forms a way for membrane to charge itself up. Now, it's not creating energy from scratch. It's using metabolic energy to create electrical energy. It's as if your computer battery decided to go out and eat lunch, and after eating lunch, your computer battery recharged itself back to its starting voltage. Well, you'd say that's incredible and ridiculous, and of course it is for a computer battery. but yet the battery in your arms, the batteries in your arms and your legs, your nervous system, your heart, and your muscle are doing that all the time. So if we look at this picture, we'd say, hey, this little kid right here, lying on the mat, getting his diaper changed by his grandmother, he's expecting to live his whole lifetime, be a grandfather himself someday, and he's expecting that charging mechanism and those batteries to keep on functioning all the time, every day, throughout his whole life, as indeed they will. So we'll end this week with a picture of the new section of the Duke University Library. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you in next week's work.